Yes, you got to have faith. Welcome to another installment of The Mighty Power of Faith. And we talk here on this show about, the various ups and downs people have gone through and what's kept them going is faith. And it's not a Bible thumping, I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm not going to ask you to. Creflo Dollar asked everybody to send $300 so he could get a $65 million private jet. I won't ask that. There's just I made a lot of big mistakes in my life, and I used to tell people, they'd say, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm living on faith," and I was, and it carried me through. So I have some great guests today. I have DeAndre Coolidge, who worked with like the father of gospel, who apparently we just lost a few weeks ago, who's moved on. But and I have Sky, who goes by an assortment of names because she knows the government is watching her, because she was raised by old hippies and they inflicted the paranoia on her.
No, I love them.
But it's, she loves them. And and then we've got Hennessy. He's a rapper. He's young. I don't know when he got addicted to Hennessy cognac, if it was when he started rapping at 15. But as long as he's drinking the good Hennessy, the high-end Hennessy, you got to sip it. You got to sip it. And I hope he's not getting the Coke back, because the Coke back is not the way to go. But I used to drink the XO Remy when I had credit cards, and I'd go to Costco. You get it for $90 instead of $150 a bottle. Oh my God, that stuff was the goods. But anyway, that was an attempt to see the face of God. Actually, a couple of Remy XOs in the cold at night, and it's an altered state. But anyway, so yes, today is Tuesday, March 31st, and we're going to talk about music and faith and the beginning of gospel. Apparently, we have somebody that's directly connected to people and gospel's all about faith. So my guests right here, DeAndre Coolidge,
yes,
and Sky.
Yes, and actually, since you've got YouTube up, I did an album trying to save a church in the South Central area, and while being in this church, this 100-year-old church, it wasn't, I'm not a Methodist, but I was trying to save a church because it was historical. I wrote an album called The Gospel.
Oh,
now
is that
it's
right?
it's just dance tracks, but it's on YouTube under Sky Henry. It's called The Gospel, and there's 13 songs on there.
Oh,
and you're free to check them out. If you like one, you can use it for your radio show. We'll talk about the split, and so talking about the gospel, check out that cut.
No, we're talking about gospel. I just want you guys out there pull up your rabbit ears in Radio Land. It's like, remember these words: true humility is a very real despair. What man or woman could allow themselves to fall into such darkness? Can a man or woman get the things they need merely by asking for them? Just ask yourself that question. Peace.
Here's the thing about faith that I've tried to explain. I deal with comedians. I do stand-up. I don't do a lot of it, but I deal with a community of people that are in Hollywood, that are comedians. There's a lot of jadedness. There's a lot of bitterness. There's a lot of hatred about organized religion, and I understand it. I didn't like the way I was raised. They forced me to go to that synagogue on the high holidays. They told me I was a bad person, I was a sinner, all that stuff. A lot of guilt, a lot of shame. You hear people say I'm a recovering Catholic, I'm a Reformed Catholic, whatever. When you're younger, you don't want to be told that all the things that make you feel bad are good or bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's stopped in a lot of places, a lot of churches and houses of worship, whatever. But I've tried to explain to these comics that they think that anyone that is a Christian or is a follower or a believer, they think that means they are trying to tell those comedians or anyone in Hollywood the moral police. If you put that thing on the air, you're going to go to hell. If you talk like that on stage with your stand-up comedy, you're going to go to hell. I'm not looking to tell anybody to go to hell. I'm just looking for people who can testify. I really like that idea of testifying that, in the darkest of times, instead of swallowing the bottle of sleeping pills, instead of winding up in the park, or even if they did wind up in the park, they never let go of this concept of faith. And it's hard to explain faith to people that don't have it or don't believe, because it's such a powerful and really an invisible force. And it will, that statement about if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, say to this mountain, move, and it will move. I've just seen it firsthand so many times in my life in the aftermath of unbelievable. People think, I've met people along the way in my time in the West Coast, when I first came out, especially because I'm Jewish. So a lot of people think if you're Jewish, you have a lot of money or you're very good with money. And I don't fit that profile. You know, and so, you know, I'm like, no, I wish that was the case. But when you're brought to a point of such uncertainty of what's going to happen in the coming days regarding if you're going to have a place to live, you know, your girlfriend walked out on you because, you know, you know, whatever it is, you know, you can't go with your friends on the skiing trip. You can't, you're left in a, you know, one way or the other. You know, a lot of people just give up and they start the heavy drinking or the abuse of whatever drugs. And then others, you know, depression hits, and depression's a powerful thing. And for me, it was like, what's left but to have faith? You know,
you got to have faith. Look, I think right now it's a tug of war with Beyonce. I was just listening to a few people was talking over the radio this weekend, one of the major radio stations, and they were talking about her performance this Sunday at the
iHeart
over in Vegas. They had the big show in Vegas. Help me out, Sky, on that one.
Oh, you go ahead with that. I got. I gotta tell.
Yeah. So basically, what it is now is that I was listening to a lot of these churchgoers and ministers and preachers and bishops was talking about, oh, when we were at the concert, did you see Beyonce how she was moving in this, and she's supposed to be a child of God. She come out of church and as a singer, and I think that whole tug of war. I think that's what she's going through right now, and a lot of us do. Well, you know, the thing is like Charlie Wilson's another one. His father was a minister. And when they come out of the church, and there's a certain audience that you reach for out in the church audience, but then you branch out, and the thing is, you have to. To me, I applaud him because it takes a lot. Whitney was another one. It takes a lot.
Whitney, man.
Okay, and then when you go through, you do go through your ups and downs.
Yeah, but I mean that was a loss.
Somewhere down the line, you lose your faith. Somewhere down the line, they lost their faith and they put their belief towards something else. But Beyonce is kind of going through it right now because lately she's been kind of finding herself.
Well, the grief that she got, this is what I saw. The grief she was getting from the traditional America, shall we say, the right-wing conservative people. The guys on TV like Bill O'Reilly, he made a big thing about her because she's very sexualized. And her music goes out to 12 and 13-year-old girls. And that's the big battle, is that, you know, they get upset. There are people that get upset that they're hypersexualizing very young girls, you know, and when they look up to someone like Beyonce. Me, I'm an unashamed capitalist, and I applaud people that I can't stand the Kardashians. I think it's really a blight on America, but at the same time, I have to give it up to that mother.
She is uber pimp daddy.
Well, here's the thing. I give it up to her only in terms of knowing the market. I don't, and exploiting the market and getting her money. I don't give it up to her in terms of, you're right. I mean, basically, they pimp their daughters. The youngest one is 17. It's just bizarre. I don't know where they stand spiritually. I don't know if they believe in God. I don't know if they give.
They're free spirit. Okay. You asked my take on it. I'm gonna give you a couple of things, and then I'm gonna go back to myself for a second, because being an artist that has gone through what I've gone through, a lot of people couldn't handle what I.
That's what we're going through right now, making a song, creating our song.
No, I was in a horrendous car crash where my life was almost taken.
Oh, is that right?
In 2009, right as the change in office, you know, Obama was coming in. I had everything. I had a 2-bedroom house. I had 2 cars, motorcycle, lots of cash.
No testimony.
I was doing really well with my rock band. All my guys are in Italy. 10 days before our album release, we're hot on the strip and everything. 10 days before the album release, I'm in a car crash at 2 in the morning.
She get
and I'm one of those.
On
the freeway. I'm one of those things that you see at 2 in the morning where they're like, girl dies on the freeway. I wasn't dead. They used the jaws of life. I remember the guy saying, are you hurt? And all I could say was, get this effing car off me. By the time they got me, I woke up the next day. My leg had been broken in 3 spots. They only knew of 2. It had been broken down here at the calf, the thigh, and it busted the right knee. Now, they were trying to send me home in under 10 days because they knew I was going to sue, and they were trying to do odd things. The irony of it was when they were trying to kick me out, they had forgotten that they had not pinned my hip. So when they took an x-ray of me, my bone was missing off my hip like that much. All right. They tell me I'm not going to be able to get out of the wheelchair for, at the minimum, 6 months. I was in really great shape when I was in this accident, okay?
It's
this town is
life-changing.
not a nice town,
No.
okay? Now, I was so angry, and this is where anger is a good thing.
Yeah.
When they told me I was going to be in that wheelchair for 6 months, I got up in a week and a half. I used the old people's walker. I literally had no behind on my right cheek. The muscle had gone. I had to rebuild my behind.
Were you doing a
myself-
lot of praying?
I was mad, and I already knew God was on my side, or I would not have survived that crash.
No.
So I knew that I already knew there
What
was a God.
kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a Toyota F-150.
Was it a
Thank
truck, a
God it
pickup
was a
truck?
truck, yes, or I would have
And that
died.
bus hit you from behind on
That
the
bus
side?
did a what I call the Mexican swoop and stop. It came in from the 170 to 101,
Oh, I know
swooped
that.
me,
I know.
and drove me right into another stop truck.
This is an L.A.
This is an LA.
regular municipal bus.
This is an LA regular municipal bus.
So that's a major lawsuit.
It's a major lawsuit. However, they have stipulations that if you don't file within 30 days, that was then, that you can't really file a lawsuit on them. You know, the town is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
All right. So my thing was the anger in which was fortified in my spirit to have been done wrong, you know what I mean? And knowing that I was done wrong, I was like, this come on, there's accidents and there are crashes. This was a crash. I got up in a
can't
week and a
imagine.
half. I got up in a week and a half. I was so angry. I made myself an online radio station. I started pumping in all kinds of music, and I healed myself. That was the year, that was in April. That was the year everybody died pretty much. Michael Jackson died that July. I got back up on the stage like a week before Michael Jackson
What
died.
did the docs think when they had told you were going to be in a
There
wheelchair
were-
for 6 months, and then a week and a half later you were out of that wheelchair?
When I tell you I had Nazi doctors, okay? I had Nazi doctors, okay? I had doctors that were trying to
But-
kick me out of the hospital.
Did you have a good attorney?
No, I did not have a good. The attorneys ran from it. They smelled what I smelled, and they ran from the case. So what I did was, I said, I decided to let God handle it, and in ways that I cannot begin to express, because
No.
that's one of those, like, you know, spooky TV shows.
Yeah.
God handles it, and He's continuing to handle it. My point is, as an artist, we go through so many things. So regardless of what an artist is going through that's just getting talked about, okay, if you're making that money and all they're doing is talking about you, that's part of the game. That's
Oh,
part of the
I
cash that
agree.
goes in your pocket.
I agree.
So you know, regarding like the Kardashians, they're free spirits. They pretty much they make bank on whatever it is they do. The more ridiculous, they're used to it. The more bank. So they have what I call a Teflon coated shell. They
You're
let it roll
100%
right off.
correct.
You know, and I don't hate on them for that. You
No,
know what I'm
I don't
saying?
hate on them.
Yeah.
They were the number one show watched last week. I was listening to the talk radio, and they have a little segment for entertainment. The number one show was The Walking Dead. The number 2 show, The Kardashians.
And they're the same thing. You may as well, you know. I'm fair.
I had an opportunity.
But no, but it's the
You know,
thing about the Kardashians is how they came to fame. That you know, I'm about talent. You have talent. I have talent. You have talent. I don't have a reality show, and I should. And you certainly could carry a reality show or just a regular show. And they're on TV, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's because she has a big behind and did a sex tape?
No,
that ain't right to me.
No.
That works my nerves. That's where it started, though.
I know that's where it started, but what you have to realize is it's what we call, and I grew up and somebody had to make me realize it, to get across America on that plane, and it's sad. It's called LCD, the lowest common denominator.
You're 100% correct.
And once
That's
you
all
hit,
those shows with the women screaming at each other, getting drunk. drunk, throwing drinks in
once
each
you
other's
hit that
basketball
mark,
wives.
exactly. Once you hit that mark, it's not like it's quality. It's not like it's something that you really want. I personally wouldn't feed my mind, but there are so many people that walk in and out of jobs that do the same mundane thing every day
what?
just to pay a bill.
I
that
must-
they will sit there.
You know what? You're 100% correct, because I'll tell you something. I forgot to mention this on the other show. I did a commercial in January. I was like a miracle. My birthday is the 14th of January. On the 12th, I got told I booked a buyout.
Oh, nice.
Over 5 digits, all at once. It's very rare to have a buyout for that much money. I wound up getting screwed by the IRS. I made a mistake in not filling in exempt from federal withholding. You have to always do that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I also came to think they're not even going to show this commercial because they shot 3 different spots. I was the guy selling the appliances. The guy selling the furniture, his spot was on for President's Day. And I thought, well, at least let me get my face on TV. My face on TV is very, very important. Now, I would never go to Rent-A-Center. If you go to Rent-A-Center, you need to know what you're doing because you're going to spend a lot of money in the long run. But if you really want things now and you don't have good credit and stuff, you can get things now, and you can furnish your apartment, and that's what it is. What it is. You
But
just
Howie,
need to,
but didn't they play your commercial though?
no, but this is the thing. I just found out this morning before coming here. A friend on Facebook in Miami sent me a message on Facebook and said, "Did I just see you in a Rent-A-Center commercial?"
Nice, Howie.
And here's the thing.
That's right.
Not like I look now. They wanted me looking like a non-threatening schlub. I got my hair down. I look like a complete idiot. But it was 12 thou for the day.
Hello.
Here's the thing. I'll look like an idiot every day for 12 thou, all day long. And here's the other thing. I would never really suggest personally to people to go to Rent-A-Center, but if they were really jammed up and they had nothing in their apartment and they had bad credit, I'd say, look, you have an option, but you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I find milk to be the most vile and disgusting beverage on the planet. I think it's healthier to drink vodka.
Yeah.
It's grotesque. However, if they sent me on a milk commercial and they said, that's the guy, national SAG commercial, he's
You would
probably
do
going to
it.
make 40 grand this
You would
year,
do it.
I'm not turning it down.
No, of course
and
not.
what is that? Now, here's the question. Integrity versus survival. I consider myself a fairly integrous individual. I'm a good person. I want to give to charity all day long if I could. That's why I want to be obscenely wealthy. I want to help a lot of people. At the same time, there's one thing I tell people all the time. Survival trumps everything.
Trumps everything.
It trumps everything. So I will go do a milk commercial, and I will also do a ridiculous reality show if they want me to be the nasty idiot guy that everybody hates, and they're paying me 50 G's a week.
Then
And it's going out to the lowest common denominator. I'm doing that reality show.
That's where they've got us. So
That's where they've got us. You're 100% correct.
In the land of entertainment, but it's not. And when you say that, and that's what it's good that we're letting people know that they decide what they want to sit down and watch. Okay.
Oh, you're 100% correct. I'm not forcing anyone to watch me if I do wind up on an idiotic show where everyone's screaming and yelling.
No, they're
and
gonna
drinking.
like you because you're charming. Okay. The
Well,
thing is,
also I can be really nasty and rude and obnoxious,
Well,
and I
that's
think
okay.
that I know, but I think that's more what if they cast me for a reality show. They're not going to say be likable,
Right.
happy, smiling, charming Howie.
not
They're
what
going to say
they-
be
yeah.
that obnoxious, arrogant. I went on Judge Alex. We totally faked
Who's Judge
the
Alex?
thing. Judge Alex is one of those court shows.
Oh, yeah.
We totally made it up so we could get $5,000. My friend was suing me, and my attitude was, it's been over a year. He doesn't need the money. I was just an arrogant, narcissistic jackass, and I got defriended on Facebook by someone that saw it. So at least I knew I was believable.
Oh, nice. There it is.
But this is where faith comes in. To me, it's like, I'm still chasing the dream. I would have thought by now I'd have had my sitcom, but I didn't work as hard as Seinfeld and Drew Carey and Roy Romano. I consider myself that type of a character. I think I could carry a sitcom. There are guys I know that would be great as the crazy next-door neighbor, the wacky uncle, whatever, the mailman, whatever. I think I could be the center, surround me with great people. I'm not taking anything away from the guys that succeeded and have hundreds of millions of dollars. They crisscrossed the country doing stand-up. I didn't. But this is L.A., and this is the year, this is the time of the computer.
Yeah, it
and
is.
the digital and all over the phone.
And man,
and
your hair is still fantastic, man. So hello.
Thank you. Yeah. That's actually one of the things I thank God for every morning, that I still have a full head of hair. And I got my hair cut, and I'm actually complaining to my barber, it gets too thick on top. And I'm thinking to myself, Howie, You got to listen. I watched the
come
Joel
on.
Osteen
Yeah.
guy. I like him. He lifted my spirits at a really bad time. And he says, you know, you can't complain. You got to praise. And I thought, how
in
many
faith.
guys do I know that wish they could say my hair's too thick on top?
You know?
They got no hair on
Exactly.
top. So, I'm very grateful. And in the hardest of times, that's another thing where I came to faith is I got it from Drew Carey. He was going to kill himself twice in Las Vegas before he was famous.
Oh, wow. You can kind of see it on him a little bit. I take care of a guy that's like 93, 94. So when they get that age, there's something about that let's make a deal price of right action that's good for him. It pumps him up. But I see it on Drew. I'm going to be honest with you. Like Robin Williams, he's one to watch because I can see it on Drew where it eats at him a little bit sometimes.
Well,
It
this is
eats
what
at
he
him.
said on Larry King. He said, when Larry King said, how did you go from wanting to kill yourself 2 times? You went to Vegas to kill yourself to where you are now. He said, I read all those books, all the personal development, self-help, personal growth. And I thought, you know what? If it's good enough for Drew, I was humbled at that point. You know, I was in a bad way when I was watching this, and I thought, I used to read those kind of books when I first came out. So I went back and started reading some of the books, and that's when I discovered the Smiling Pastor, Joel Osteen. And a lot of people that are big on the Bible don't like him. They think he's wrong, and whatever. That's their issue. I know what he did for me. He lifted my spirits. And one of the things he said, you got to have gratitude.
You got
that's
to,
right.
man.
In the way, but here's when you really got to have gratitude. And I've told this to people on Facebook that post all their stuff about how miserable they are and how bad things are going. And I say, look, you got to stop right now and write down the things you're grateful for
It's
right
true.
now. You can walk, you can talk, you can see. Most people's misery is over financial grief.
Yeah.
There are people, of course, are miserable. They're, somebody in their family got cancer. Their dad just died. Their significant other left them. I understand that misery. But I'm telling you,
But
they can
stuff-
tell me all day money doesn't make you happy. But if you guys were sitting here right now and ending this show by saying, Howie, listen, don't worry about that Mega Million because we won it last week. We won 40 million clear, and we're going to give you a suitcase now with $1 million in cash, $250,000 in cash. I'd be the happiest person alive.
And you gotta
I'd
keep
be
your
completely
faith.
relieved.
You gotta keep
Oh,
your
man,
faith.
you and me
You know,
both.
I've come into, I don't know if you guys have, you probably have, I've gotten chunks of money. I won money on game shows, hit on the stock market. I've gotten big loans.
Oh, nice.
And the relief, even if you're in debt and somebody you're going deeper in because you're borrowing a big chunk. I borrowed 40 grand, no collateral. The relief of getting that money to be able to, and I'm waiting on such help now. And every day I'm talking to God going, you know what? I'm just asking for one more shot.
Yeah.
One more financial
God is
relief.
telling you?
Or increasing your earning power.
Yeah, but you know what God is telling you right now, Howie? We talk about keep the faith.
You got to exhibit the faith.
I sing about keeping the faith. But like I said, my buddy of gospel, Andre Crouch, rest in peace, the last words to me was that in order to get your faith, you have to spread the faith.
I agree 100%.
You really do.
One of my favorite song is by the New Radicals. You only get what you give. You know that song?
Yeah.
You only get what you give. Yeah. I think he wrote it to his girlfriend who was thinking of killing herself because you one dance left. You got a reason to live. This world is going to pull through. It's really uplifting lyrics, and that's why I started this show because I needed faith, and I thought, I've got a platform where I can, maybe one person will catch this who's
nice.
thinking of killing themselves, who's given up on their dream, and will go, you know what, maybe I'll try this faith
And
thing.
you did something for God.
You know,
you did
so-
something for that person.
Well, I'll be honest. I used to, where I lived, I used to have I had a room. It was about this size. That was my closet. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
You lived good.
Yeah. Now for my room and board, I help take care of this guy that's almost 100, and where I stay is not as big as the closet that I used to have for my
know,
clothes.
I know.
lost literally everything.
Yeah.
Okay. To the point of where if I've got my passport and myself, that's pretty much what I've got. So I
Right.
could walk away and go anywhere that I want, but at the same time, the process of losing all your material possessions as you're going through it, it bums you out. But
It's depressing.
But once it's pretty much all gone, you realize, hey, like you said, you get a
You're
chunk
still
of money,
standing.
you still stand. You can buy all that stuff again.
Right,
You know
that
what I
stuff
mean?
can always be
But you
replaced.
have
Now,
to
tell
do,
me
you have to
tell
do
me
one
about the
thing,
gospel.
though. You have to do
Okay.
one thing, though. you have to live. You have to be
Yeah.
able to.
That's what I do.
You
You
have
know,
Well,
to
that's
live.
one of the things that where depression gets you when you lose all that stuff. There were days, you know, I'm sure you had this. You just don't
Oh,
even
yeah.
want to. It's debilitating. You don't want to get out of bed, and that's where I don't like caffeine. It can make me a little tense and you know a little tense with people. But whatever it takes, I need it. Sometimes I needed caffeine to get out of that bed and just do. And one of the self-help guys said,
what's your favorite coffee?
I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. I drink that, or I take
Green tea.
Excedrin. Excedrin was
Excedrin.
loaded with
Okay,
caffeine.
going back to that, to the crash, they gave me the
Pain
the
meds. You needed-
Oxycontins.
yeah,
they gave me
you
the Percocet,
need-
and they gave me a box of needles. I threw it all out and took Excedrin. I threw all the prescriptions out.
Really?
I took Excedrin. That's the only thing I took. That's
Yeah,
the
you
only
were
thing.
hopped up all the time then.
No, I didn't take
It's
it
got a
every
lot of
day.
caffeine in
I
it.
did not take Excedrin
Oh.
every day. I took it when I
I was
really felt
addicted
pain.
to it for a while
Yeah,
from the
no,
heat
no, no.
in the valley.
Yeah.
And
oh,
drinking.
the valley is wild.
It was the way I'd get over hangovers was I'd have a power bar, 2 Excedrin, put on 4 layers of sweats, and get on a treadmill.
oh, nice.
But before we, you wanted to talk a little bit more about
Andre.
what's his name again?
Andre Crouch.
Andre Crouch and the whole family. They were like the beginning of gospel.
Yes.
Or-
They're like
Yes.
gospel royalty. I wouldn't say the
Yes.
beginning, but true gospel royalty came with the Crouches.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And how big was that family? You're talking about like 15, 16
Hey,
people?
just say that his nephew Keith Crouch produced all the Brandies and Ray J, all their music.
Whitney
Really?
Houston's
Just
mom,
imagine.
Sissy.
Whitney Houston, all of them. I
So
mean,
everybody
they
in the
all-
world of music knows who they
Of
are.
course.
Pretty
I
much.
They're
mean,
not like a household name to regular people.
No, this is, and not only just that, they're internationally known through Japan, through Africa, Russia,
Really?
Yugoslavia. Yeah, there's people that come that he visit those countries and touch those people. I mean, he's just not national; he's international.
International. And how old was he when he left
When he
us?
passed, he was 72.
72.
Yes, and it started out in a little town called Pomona. That's where his father had his first church there, and he migrated to Pacoima. And that's when Bishop Crouch started his church in Pacoima, and it just grew more and more. I don't know if you ever heard a song. Remember the old song you probably heard when you was a kid? Oh, happy day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that
Happy
helped put that song together. He's
Is
the
that
one.
right?
He was playing the
Oh,
keys on
Happy
there.
Day.
Yeah, with the Hawkins.
That's a great song.
And to this day, we still remember that. We never know where it come from. They're just like saying, "Do you ever heard the old thing of Timbuktu?" Remember Timbuktu?
Yeah, well, I mean,
You don't
Remember
the word?
Oh Happy Day, but
no,
not Timbuktu.
I know, I'm just kidding around. But that's kind of like you hear a song and you hear it, but you never know. But it means so much to you. Like Timbuktu. You know what Timbuktu is?
it's a magical place or something.
Magical place.
Oh,
Sky.
happy day.
Timbuktu. Come on.
Timbuktu is a place. It's
a
like
place
Bora
where?
Bora. It's
Where?
Bora Bora in heaven?
No.
It's a-
Timbuktu.
I know
Okay, let me give you
Kathmandu.
another, Let me give you another.
In
What-
Africa?
I know
Hey, you got
Kathmandu.
it. What is it? Tell me that. Let me ask you another question.
Kathmandu.
Where
Kathmandu.
was the first medicine hospital? I said the first hospital that was ever invented. The first hospital
That'd be in
is in
Rome.
Timbuktu.
Kathmandu.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Check out
The
Kathmandu.
witch doctors. Come on.
Oh.
Check out
I'm just
Kathmandu.
playing. I
will just tell you one thing.
Timbuktu, Kathmandu. The coolest
You
thing
see,
about
you like that?
Kathmandu,
Cool.
check out Kathmandu. The coolest thing about Kathmandu is everybody, if you check out the clocks, everybody's clock is lined up except Kathmandu's.
That's right. Because he's
Oh,
from
is that right?
Timbuktu. Yeah.
Everybo's clock has like pretty much the same
Right.
seconds,
Right.
different
No,
around the
back
world.
To, back to Andre. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
Andre started, he helped the Hawkins, Lana Adams, Shaka Khan, Donnie McClurkin.
And he left behind a legacy of a lot of kids that are doing the same thing he did and spreading music and gospel and all kinds of music.
Yeah, well, the kids, he had his brother and his sister. Sandre Crouch is doing that, and Keith is, but he lost all his family members. But he has a whole family of a gospel
Right.
family that he started
Awesome.
that's carrying out the word right now. And I just want to leave with myself is that the words that he left me is which I would like to share with you and also Sky. And when we doing this music, that is not only just keeping the faith, let's spread the faith.
Spread the faith.
And
all
the
right,
love.
we're gonna wrap it up
The
on
love.
that. I agree. You gotta. However hard your times are, and
Got
I've been
to.
going through the biggest challenge in my life. This year has been since June 7th when I left the house I was living in, and I've been bouncing around. And I'm like you, I lived good, and I'm living in a friend's house, and God bless him, my dog is safe. But I thought, you're right. You gotta let other people know that faith worked for you, and I hope it works for them. Some
Yes.
people get very wiggy when you
Yeah,
speak God
yeah.
and faith, but I can't tell my story without telling
You
that.
gotta know.
That's part of
Yeah,
my
it's
story.
true.
You know, that's one of the reasons I'm still above ground.
Yeah, you
I thought
are.
plenty of times of a bottle of sleeping pills and a bottle of vodka.
No,
I got,
no.
you know, I was just so fed up because I get annoyed not being obscenely
I got
wealthy.
you.
My friends that know me well know. My friends from back in New York and my friends out here. I'm just annoyed not being rich.
Yeah.
It's annoying,
It's annoying.
to me.
It is.
But we'll get over it, you know. All right, thank
All
you
right.
for watching.
Thank you
to
so
my
very
guests.
much. And thank
keep
you
the
so
faith,
very
spread the
Keep
faith.
the faith. Spread the love.
God bless you all.
And thank you so much
Spread the
again,
love.
Howie.
All
God
right,
bless
brother.
you. And
Good
peace,
seeing
man.
you.
Out. We out of
Peace
here.
out. We outta here.
Sky, we out. Look at Sky playing. Well, Sky.